Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. Happy Saturday. I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. The weather outside is marvelous. It's so beautiful outside right now. The sun is out and it's a slight breeze. I cannot be more happy. I am so glad spring/summer is here and I am ready for it. Ready for it. Today's video is going to be my May book haul. These are going to be all the books that have been sent to me recently by publishers, and it is quite a stack, but it is quite an amazing stack. There are so many amazing books in this pile. But it's a big pile, so I better get started. So as I always say, get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads. I think I'm going to make your TBR explode because there are so many amazing titles here. The first book I'm going to tell you about is from the lovely Kezia Frost. Now, if you guys remember from last year, Kezia's debut novel, The Reluctant Fortune Teller, was one of my feel-good summer reads of last year. And she returns with her second novel that comes out, I want to say June 3rd, 2019. And we are back in the community that The Reluctant Fortune Teller was set in. And if you guys remember, The Reluctant Fortune Teller had sort of this trio of older women that wanted to turn our main character, Norbert, into a fortune teller and sort of create that story. Well, that trio of women is back. That trio is headed by Carlotta. And Carlotta has sort of always been the queen bee, for lack of a better term, of this group. And in this book, it seems like someone moves in. Mabel moves in, and it becomes Carlotta's mission to get her out of the group because she is disrupting the way Carlotta likes to run her group. I am so excited to be back with these ladies. You guys know my utter obsession with books about older women. I absolutely love it. And I really did. I just loved her last book. So this is Kezia Frost's Getting Rid of Mabel. This comes out June 3rd, 2019, I think. There you go. The next book was sent to me by the lovely people over at Atria Books, and this one comes out on May 7th. And this is The Daughter's Tale by Armando Lucas Correa, and this is translated by, Nick Castor. Nick Castor translated this. Now, I'm gonna tell you how this book came into being because this is sort of how I got inspired to want to read it. This is actually the fictional account of the true life of a woman. Armando on the back sort of writes a letter about a woman he met named Judith. Now, Judith was 14 months old when her family fled and was trying to escape during World War II. And she and her family were turned away from Cuba, the US, and I want to say Canada, and they actually wind up in France. And what happens is when they're in France, they're taken in by a family until one day the Germans come calling. And the way that he describes Judith's story is that her father takes her into the forest one day, holding her hand, tells her to look up. All of a sudden, someone else is holding her hand and her father is gone. And she is taken away to be kept safe. This is after her family is about to be shipped off to Auschwitz in Poland. So that was sort of the inspiration for The Daughter's Tale, and this is the fictional account of Judith. And Armando talks about on the back about meeting her and listening and hearing to her story. I think that sounds absolutely fantastic. And so that's The Daughter's Tale. This is out from Atria Books on May 7th, 2019. The next book I'm going to tell you about, actually, this one was so fascinating because I had to Google a little bit because I needed to learn some stuff before I could tell you guys about it. And that's The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek by Michele Richardson. This is the story of Troublesome Creek. It's a little tiny town in Kentucky, which has a lot of things not going for it, but what it doesn't lack is books and a traveling librarian. And that is our main character, Cussie Mary Carter. Now, Cussie is actually a member or is part of a group of people that were known as the Blue Kentuckians. So I had to Google this. There was actually a group of a family in Kentucky that had a genetic disorder which turned their skin blue. And as you can imagine, this caused some untrusting in regards to them. And in this book, it causes Cassie to be untrusted. And also she's trying to push her literary agenda, which has its own issues. And what it says here is Cassie faces doubters at every turn. If Cassie wants to bring the joy of books to the complex and hard-scrabble Kentuckians, she's going to have to confront dangers and prejudice as old as the Appalachians and suspicion as deep as the holler. That's a little, that's just adorable. Is that not adorable? But I was really fascinated. I thought at first, when it said at the back of the books that this was based on a true group of people, I was like, I've never heard of this. So I Googled it, and now I'm utterly fascinated. So that is The Book Woman of Troublesome Creek by Michele Richardson. I want to thank Source Books for sending this to me. I want to say that I think this comes out in May as well. This is a finalized copy, and I apologize, it doesn't have a publishing date on it. But yeah, I hope you guys get your hands on this one because this one sounds great. And you know how much I love a book about books, a book about librarians. That just speaks so much to me. The next book I'm going to tell you about is a bit of nonfiction in a way. And this is The Secret Commonwealth of Elves, Fauns, and Fairies by Robert Cook. Now, this is actually an essay that was written some time ago. I don't know a lot about this, so I'm going to sort of read the back. Late in the 17th century, Robert Kirk was an Episcopalian minister in the Scottish Highlands who set out to collect his parishioners' many striking stories about elves, fairies, fauns, doppelgangers, wraiths, and other beings of, in Kirk's word, a middle nature between man and angel. He wanted to collect these stories because he believed in the supernatural. Now, this was not published in his lifetime, but it was then published, it says here, it was first published in 1850 by Sir Walter Scott, and then reeditioned in 1893 by Andrew Lang. It's been very difficult to get a copy of this. I want to just hold this up because this cover is gorgeous right there for you. And now we have this published from New York Review of Books, they just put out so much amazing stuff. So this is The Secret Commonwealth of Elves, Fauns, and Fairies, Robert Cook. So if you want a history, if you are one of those people that loves fairy tales and you're looking for something that sort of digs into where they come from and how they came to fruition, this sounds like the perfect book for you. So thank you so much, New York Review of Books. This sounds fascinating. The next book popped up on my radar because I read a review of it, a Twitter review, a very fast review by Garth Greenwell, and he was raving about, I'm going to hold this up, The Unpassing by Chia-Chia Lin. This actually comes out this month as well from FSG. This is the story of a Taiwanese family, 6 people who immigrate to Alaska. They set up their life there. One of the children gets sick with meningitis, and when he wakes up, he finds out that his sister also gets sick, but she did not make it. So the family is grieving. And then the father, due to the installation of a water heater, I want to say it's, yes, he's sued by the improper installation of a water well that harms a little boy. And then that sort of turns into more trials and tribulations for the family, and also brings to fruition sort of some of the secrets behind the daughter's death. Sorry, that was a little clunky there. But I read the first part of this when it came to me in the mail, and it is gorgeously written. I think this cover just says Alaska to me. Is that strange? I think it's beautiful. So that's The Unpassing by Chia-Chia Lin, and this comes out in the month of May as well. The next book I'm going to tell you about, I actually do not know that much about. It was sent to me by the author. We have been following each other actually on Instagram. And she follows my booktube, and she knows that I like a really sad book. And so she sent me a copy of her book. And she sent me the most amazing handmade bookmark, and I would show it to you, except it is the bookmark that I'm using in my book that is by my bedside, so I don't have it with me. But that is the Expiration Date by V.L. Arias. Please follow her on Instagram. And this is a futuristic tale where life, it says here, this is because I don't know much about it, life hasn't changed much on the quaint street of Gardenia Way since the release of Expiration Dates 7 years ago. Though most are still coping with knowing the exact day they'll die, neighbors are still neighborly, lawns are still edged to perfection, and the Brysons still throw the best parties. Their latest is for their young son's funeral reception. While the couple struggles with Austin's death, Jeremy Bryson keeps himself busy by intruding on the reclusive neighbor's rocky marriage, discovering a solution that would repair the loss he and his family have endured, and the fate has a way of leading you down both an honorable and a vicious path. She put a sticky on this, and she told me this book was going to make me cry. So, if you are looking for something that is a little bit sad, it sounds like this is going to be a heartbreaker. I like the idea. I'm always fascinated with what you would do if you knew when you were going to die. That's The Expiration Date by V.L. Arias. And thank you very much, V.L. Arias, for sending it to me. I'm excited about that one. The next book was sent to me by Arcadia, and that is The Bobcat by Katherine Forbes Riley. I think this cover is just beautiful. Oh my gosh, I hope they keep that as the published cover. And this comes out in June. This is the story of Laura Lee. Laura Lee is a young art student who unfortunately suffers a rape in college, and it really changes who she is. And she winds up transferring to a small college in Vermont and sort of retreats into her imagination. Now, her really only connection is with a young child that she babysits. And what happens is one day she's walking in the woods and she sees an injured bobcat and a man who has been sort of tracking that bobcat, and sort of this weird relationship between the three of them begins. I want to say it says she recognizes something in herself and her reclusiveness, and she's wary, and as she moves them towards recovery, so both the bobcat and the person hunting them, and reconnection, she finds her own voice really as an artist. But then one day the child disappears and everything changes yet again. This is going to be one of those things where we're mixing art with sort of tragedy, with life, with understanding who we are. So that's The Bobcat by Katherine Forbes Riley. This comes out in June from Arcadia Books. And I want to thank them for sending me a copy. I think it sounds amazing. Okay, halfway through. So this is, again, going to be a long video, guys. I apologize. The next book is Biloxi by Mary Miller. This was sent to me by Liverlight. This comes out in the month of May. This is, actually, this book speaks all to me, I have to be honest with you. So this is the story of, I want to get his name right. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking. Lewis McDonald. I'm sorry, there was a blurb. Lewis McDonald is 63 years old, and his wife of 30 some odd years has just left him. So he is definitely changing. His life is definitely changing. He sort of thinks that he's supposed to inherit a great amount of money, so he quits his job, maybe a little prematurely, sits on the couch, enjoying reality TV, drinking beer, and seeing where life is going to take him. Then one day, this is just my heart going pitter-patter, he meets at a dog rescue a young dog named Lila, who is an overweight mixed breed. I already love Lila. I already love her. Unexpectedly, that changes his life in a lot of ways too. I don't want to know too much more about it because I love the premise of this. A man whose life is sort of turned on its head. He thinks it's going to go one way. Then he meets a dog who needs a home and needs a life, and that changes it in another way. And this is also set in Biloxi, Mississippi, and I have been there only once, and I absolutely thought that the town was lovely. So I'm super excited to read Biloxi by Mary Miller. This is out from Liverlight this month in May. I can't believe it's May already. Can you guys believe it's May already? Two books I'm going to tell you about real quickly come to me from Quirk Books, and that is these two books. These are Shakespeare retellings, also mixed with some of our favorite movies. The first one is Get Thee Back to the Future, and they're both written by Ian Doescher. These are this is a retelling of Hamlet, sort of mixed with the idea of the movie Back to the Future. And the next one is Much Ado About Mean Girls. This is a retelling of Much Ado About Nothing with the Mean Girls movie interchange. Now, Quirk Books just does fun stuff like this. Now, he is known, Ian Doescher is known, he's the guy who wrote the retelling of, was it Macbeth? The William Shakespeare Star Wars book that came out a few years ago, which I own, and I don't know, actually, it's not in this room, it's in my other room. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was super duper fun. So he has two books coming out, and that is, again, Get Thee Back to the Future and Much Ado About Mean Girls by Ian Doescher. This is out from Quirk Books. If you are looking for that book to settle into a mystery, creepy thing set in a hotel, do I have the book for you. and that's The Snakes by Sadie Jones. This also comes out here in June. So I want to just hold that cover up there for you guys to see the woman's face and the snake. This is the story of a young couple in London who get married, decide to rent their house out and go to a hotel in France that the wife's brother owns, named Alex. When they arrive, they find him alone in the hotel, and the only other thing there is a nest of snakes in the attic. Next thing you know, her parents arrive, and the husband finds out that her parents are extremely, extremely wealthy. And he did not know this. And it turns out he starts to doubt their relationship and also why he's never met them or why he hasn't been told about them. Then a tragedy obviously happens, and something has to change, and sort of the secrets of the family start to come out. Now, I want to show you guys, this is so cool. So this is the art copy. They also sent this absolutely great old-fashioned hotel keychain. So yeah, I'm totally bought into The Snakes by Sadie Jones. This comes out in June from Harper. Yeah, everything I want, everything I want. So thank you very much, Harper. I think that's going to be right up a bunch of your guys' alleys. I just think we're going to all really enjoy that one. Oh, the next book, sentimental favorite here, you guys. This is the lovely poetry collection by Jen Campbell. You know we all love Jen. This is called The Girl Aquarium. This came out in Britain in April. You guys can pre-order it. You can get it on Book Depository. You can get it shipped to you, so don't feel that you can't get it over here. Now, Jen Campbell is an amazing poet, and I've read almost all of this. I'll review it before you know it. I think the cover is absolutely fantastic. It's a mix of fairy tales, which if in the circus, and it says whispers of science and circus. She turns a cracked mirror on society and asks who gets to control the twisted tales hiding in the wings. Jen Campbell is one of the smartest booktubers on the internet, and she definitely has a way with words and a way with images and a way of just making you feel like she's telling a story in just a few quick sentences. So that's The Girl Aquarium by Jen Campbell, and get your hands on it. You will not regret it. The next book I'm going to tell you about is Cygnet. This is also from Harper, and this is by Susan Butler. Susan Butler has a fantastic name. This comes out in June as well. This is the story of Kid. Now, Kid is 17 years old when her parents disappear, and she is taken to an island off the coast of New Hampshire. I want to say it's New Hampshire. Yes, New Hampshire, and she is left with her grandmother. But then her grandmother passes away, and she is sort of left on her own. And it turns out that this is not your normal type of island. These are people who do not want to be part of the mainland, and they are not interested in having Kid on the island with them. All they want is for her to leave. So, yeah, Kid sort of makes her way through life doing work in graphic design, and I think it says here, digitally retouching family photos and movies is how she earns money to survive. So she's going to be an outcast in this society, but also she's going to be diving into their history because that's where her money is made. So I think that's going to be super duper fascinating. So that is Cygnet. This is not doing justice to the cover. There you go. By Susan Butler. This is out from Harper in June. And again, Susan Butler is a fantastic name. I'm excited about this one. This is a book that I actually didn't request, but the people over at Commonwealth sent me, and this is a YA science fiction novel called Aurora Rising. This is by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is book 1 in the Aurora cycle. I know zero about this, so let's get into it. The year is 2380, and the graduating cadets of Aurora Academy are being assigned their first missions. Star pupil Tyler Jones is ready to recruit the squad of his dreams, but his own butthead heroism sees him stuck with the dregs nobody else in the academy would touch. A cocky diplomat with a black belt in sarcasm, a psychopath scientist with a fondness for shooting her bunkmates, a smartass tech whiz with the galaxy's biggest chip on his shoulder, an alien warrior with anger management issues, a tomboy pilot who's totally not into Thai, in case you were wondering, and Thai's squad isn't even his biggest problem. That would be Aurora G. Lin O'Malley, the girl he's just rescued from interdimensional space, trapped in cryosleep for 2 centuries. Ari is a girl out of time and out of her depth, but she could be the catalyst for a war millions of years in the making, and Tyler's squad of losers, discipline cases, and misfits might just be the last hope for the entire galaxy. Sounds fun. Sounds like you're if a YA or a middle grade reader, or if have one of those in your family or your life, that this is going to be a book you may enjoy. So this is coming out from Knopf. This is the Aurora Rising, book 1 in the Aurora cycle by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Time for a thriller. You guys know that this has sort of been my year of thrillers, and that is The Perfect Fraud by Ellen LaCourte. This is about Claire. Claire comes from a family of professional psychics, and ironically, she does not have the gift, but that doesn't stop her from being the next in line for the family business. She, it says here, Clay may carry on the family business, but she really doesn't have the gift and hasn't for a long time. In fact, she's a fraud. Her path will soon intersect with Rena, a divorced mother and avid mommy blonker, anxious to help her sick 4-year-old daughter, Stephanie, who is plagued with a mysterious stomach ailment. So Rena packs up and moves across the country because she's looking to help Stephanie and get her the help she needs. As they're getting settled into place, they meet Lewis, who may or may not be the answer to all the prayers. An encounter on an airplane introduces these two women together, and really their lives go into a tailspin. Can they help each other? How are they going to sort of work out? I think that sounds really super interesting. That's The Perfect Fraud by Ellen LaCourte, and this is out also from June from Harper. Harper sent me 3 books. Absolutely love it. Last but certainly not least is a book that came just beautifully put together, and that is The Guest Book by Sarah Blake, and it came in this really cool box. Historical fiction at its best, and it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Now, historical fiction is one of those things that it's sort of hard to describe when it flips between 2 separate time periods. But basically, we start in 1935 with Kitty and Ogden Milton. They appear to have everything. They have beautiful children. Everybody envies them. But something happens and life changes. So they decide to buy an island off of Maine, and the house that it comes on that island, it really comes to define their family, the Milton family, year after year, and that Kitty's issues a refusal that will haunt her until the day she dies. I don't know what that is, but now my interest peaked. And then in 1959, a young Jewish man, Len Levy, will get a job in the Ogden's bank and earn the admiration of Ogden and one of his daughters, but the scorn of everyone else. Len's best friend, Reg Pauling, has also been the only black man in the room, at Harvard, at work, and finally at the Milton's Island in Maine. An island that, at the dawn of the 21st century, this last generation doesn't have the money to keep. When Kitty's granddaughter hears that she and her cousins might be forced to sell it, and when her husband brings back disturbing evidence about her grandfather's past, she realizes she is on the verge of finally understanding the silences that seem to hover just below the surface of her family, all of her life. This book, The Guest Book, looks into the racism and power that has been systematically embedded in the United States for generations. Brimming with gorgeous writing and bitterly accurate social criticism, it's a literary tour de force. Now, this book is blurbed on the front by Cynthia St. John. Now, Cynthia St. John works at Kepler Books, which is an independent bookstore in my neck of the woods. I adore Kepler Books in Menlo Park. If you have not had a chance to go there and you come to California, you absolutely must. And she is telling you to read The Guest Book by Sarah Blake. Now, this is a different Sarah Blake than that wrote Naamah, the tale of Noah's wife. So don't think that she's written 2 books. These are 2 different Sarah Blakes, and we are privileged to have both of them. So The Guest Book, this comes out in May as well, so it's just right around the corner. It's going to have this. This is going to be the cover, so there you go. So 23 minutes. I tried to talk fast. I hope every single one of these books winds up on your TBR. As always, if you are a return subscriber, thank you so very, very much. If you are new to my channel, I hope you're ready to read, because there are a lot of amazing books that we just talked about. As always, I wish you happy reading, and until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye!